Well, hello people. I will be talking about Anglo-Saxon elegies today. As you remember from previous weeks, we said that there are three main genres in Anglo-Saxon literature. The first of them is the Anglo-Saxon heroic poetry. The other one is Anglo-Saxon elegies, and the last one is Anglo-Saxon religious literature. And now we are here talking about Anglo-Saxon elegies. Well, elegy as a word refers to, in the Anglo-Saxon, in the context of Anglo-Saxon literature, elegy refers to any kind of sad poem. Well, when you translate it into Turkish, elegy means ağıt, and in many other cultures and in Turkish culture, when you say elegy, it refers to a poem or a song or whatever which is written for somebody who is dead. But in Anglo-Saxon literature, elegy doesn't mean that this person is dead. An elegy could be sung or written about any sad event that affected you deeply. Okay, so let's set this difference now. Anglo-Saxon elegy means sad song or sad poem created for or created about any sad event. It could be about death, but it doesn't have to be. All right, so our first elegy was The Wanderer. The title, The Wanderer, means somebody who wanders. A wander means to travel aimlessly, to travel from from one place to the other without necessarily having an aim. All right, so always the one alone longs for mercy and the maker's mildness. So the maker here refers to, of course, God. So the one alone refers to the speaker himself. Though troubled in mind, across the ocean ways, he has long been forced to stir with his hands the frost-cold sea and walk in exile's path. Word is fully fixed. So in line 4, you see the frost-cold sea, which actually is a sign that the Anglo-Saxons actually did not like the sea very much. So in Anglo-Saxon times, as I have told you before, nature is something which is to be feared, and nature is something very uncomfortable for you, dangerous for you. Okay, so therefore, when they talked about nature, seas, rivers, whatever, they did not have positive meanings for the Anglo-Saxons. Word is fully fixed. Word means fate. Okay, you cannot change your fate according to the Anglo-Saxons. Your fate is determined by God, and in Christian belief, your fate is, of course, written, but you have the power to choose your own actions. So there is a kind of a free will in Christianity. But for the pagan Anglo-Saxons, fate, which they called as word, was something truly fixed. I mean, you cannot, what you will do in the face of any event is also fixed as well. It's also determined by gods. So this is the main difference. This is the main difference between Christianity and Anglo-Saxon paganism in terms of their belief in fate. So thus spoke the wanderer, mindful of troubles, of cruel slaughters and dear kinsman's downfall. So dear kinsman's downfall actually gives us here a hint of what the problem of the wanderer is, or why the wanderer is wandering. So his kinsmen, his relatives, have been killed, but they have been murdered, they have been slaughtered by some unknown group of people, and probably as the only survivor of this slaughter, and because he hasn't been able to take revenge, he has gone on an exile. Because, as you know, one aspect of Anglo-Saxon heroic code is that you have to take revenge for any of your relative that has been subjected to any kind of injustice. All right, so let's talk about a different part of the poem. So long ago, I hid my gold-giving friend in the darkness of earth and went wretched, winter sad, over the ice-locked waves, sought, half-sick, a treasure giver, wherever I might find, far or near, someone in a mead hall who might know my people, or who would want to comfort me, friendless, accustom me to joy. Again, what we are seeing here is that the speaker is giving much more hints about his psychological state. So long ago, he has buried his king or lord. He refers to him as gold-giving friend. Okay, but as you know, gold giving, gift giving is done by your lord as a result of as a return for your services. So he has buried his gold-giving friend, his king, his lord, in the darkness of the earth. And then he became wretched. I mean, he became a miserable person. And the words like winter sad, ice-locked waves, half sick, these are, again, other clues which give us a sense of his psychological state. And now we understand, in this part, we understand why he is wandering. In fact, we can see here that he is looking for a new lord, a new king, to give him more treasures. That's why he is wandering. That's why he has put himself on exile. All right. He who has come to know how cruel a companion is sorrow for one with few dear friends will understand. The path of exile claims him, not patterned gold, a winter-bound spirit, not the wealth of earth. Here you see that being alone, being lonely, is something which the Anglo-Saxons did not prefer. Because, I mean, when we think about ourselves, in contrast to the Anglo-Saxons, when we think about ourselves, being alone sometimes has a positive meaning as well. Well, I want to get rid of everybody. I don't want to see anyone and just be with myself and live in the woods just by myself in a cabin. So this is a very romantic thing that sometimes we think about. But here we understand that Anglo-Saxons do not think like us. So having few dear friends, being lonely is not something that they wish to be. He remembers hall holders and treasure taking, how in his youth his gold-giving lord accustomed him to the feast. That joy has all faded. So by he, again, he refers to himself. All right. But when the friendless man awakens again and sees before him the fellow waves, seabirds bathing, spreading their feathers, frost falling, and snow mingled with hail, then the heart's wounds are that much heavier, longing for his loved one. So here he basically continues his lament, his elegy for being lonely. So he sometimes he has some good times, but then the friendless man awakens again. So it's like a dream. Those good memories are like a dream to him. And then when he awakens, when he shakes himself off, when he shakes those dreams off, he remembers that he's lonely in the frost falling and snow mingled with hail, and his heart's wounds are heavy, and he longs or he wants to have a loved one. The wise man must realize how ghastly it will be when all the wealth of this world stands waste, as now here and there throughout this Middle-earth walls stand blasted by wind, beaten by frost, the buildings crumbling. So here you see the transitory nature of everything. Everything breaks apart, everything falls into ruins. So no happiness is also all happiness is also temporary. So here you see in line 75 the phrase Middle Earth. So Middle Earth is actually what the Anglo-Saxons called this world. Okay, in Anglo-Saxon paganism, their belief was that below the world, it was the world of giants, or let's say where evil things lived, and above us was Asgard, where the gods lived, and this world was in the middle of Asgard and the netherworld. Okay, so Middle Earth refers to the place that we are living, where the mortals are living. The wine halls topple, their rulers lie deprived of all joys. The proud old troops all fell by the wall. War carried off some, sent them on the way. One a bird carried off over the high seas, one the grey wolf shared with death, and one a sad-faced man covered in an earthen grave. So he remembers all his friends that who died. The Creator of men thus destroyed this walled city until the old works of giants stood empty without the sounds of their former citizens. So the Creator here refers to the God, and of course it's the Christian God. Well, as we just mentioned paganism as well. So isn't this a contradiction? Well, kind of. Uh, Even though when this poem was written down, the Anglo-Saxons were Christians, their pagan past was still a part of their culture. So that's why words like Middle Earth, for example, still existed in their daily vocabulary. So even though they were Christians and they did not believe in Asgard or the giants or the elves, whatever the Norse mythology told them, they still kept some of those words. The old works of giants in line 86 actually refers to the ruins of Roman Empire. So as you know, when the Roman Empire, after the Roman Empire pulled back their soldiers from Britain, Anglo-Saxons came and they invaded Britain, and they saw all those stone buildings, usually in ruins, which were left by the Romans. Well, as you know, Romans were quite good at building stone structures, and they left, and those buildings became ruins. And the popular belief was that those stone buildings were so difficult to make with their technology. They believed that these must be the works of giants. The giants must have put those stone cities, stone buildings in place. So said the wise one in his mind, sitting apart in meditation. He is good who keeps his word, and the man who never too quickly shows the anger in his breast, unless he already knows the remedy a noble man can bravely bring about. It will be well for one who seeks mercy, consolation from the Father in heaven, where for us all stability stands. So this is usually the way Anglo-Saxon elegies end. So the first part, the beginning and the middle and through the end, those parts are usually very personal. They talked about personal problems. But then in the end, there is usually a part where the speaker turns to God for a remedy for his pain. All right, so the wise one, I mean, the person who, if you are wise and if you want to get rid of this kind of pain or problems, then you should do these kinds of things. You should always remember God. You should never forget your place in this world, and you should never abandon God. This is how the elegies usually ended. All right, another poem, another elegy called The Seafarer. So, I can sing a true song of myself, tell of my journeys, how in days of toil I've often suffered troubled times, endured heartache, come to know many of care's dwellings on the keel of a ship, terrible tossing of the waves, where the anxious night watch often held me at the ship's stem, when it crashes against the cliffs. Pinched with cold were my feet, bound by frost in cold fetters, while cares seethed hot around my heart, and hunger gnawed my sea-weary mind. That man does not know, he whose lot is fairest on land, how I dwelt all winter, wretched with care, on the ice-cold sea, in the paths of exile, deprived of dear kinsmen, hung with icicles of frost while hail flew in showers. So basically, what the seafarer, what the speaker of this elegies is saying, that he has a terrible life. He has a miserable life in sea. He's a seaman, and he doesn't like the sea because it's cold, it's tiring, it's terrible. So and he compares on line 13, that man does not know he whose lot is fairest on land. He compares himself and his life to the life of a man who lives on land, who is not a seaman. Okay, and he says that the person who lives on land instead of being a seaman doesn't know all the things that I've been enduring all my life. And so he who has tasted life's joys and towns, suffered few sad journeys, scarcely believes, proud and puffed up with wine, what I, weary, have often had to endure in my seafaring. Again, he's saying the same thing. I mean, he is still comparing himself to the life of a person who mostly lives on land and who has the chance to go to taverns or to live in towns where he can find the joy in life, but he has only had sad journeys, and these people don't believe the troubles that he has. They think that he is exaggerating. My heart's desire urges my spirit time and again to travel, so that I might seek a foreign land somewhere far from here. So he hates the sea, but then here we see that he still wants to set on a new journey. So this is like a contradiction. So if you hate the sea so much, then why are you planning on a new adventure on sea? So we will see. We'll learn the answer. And so now my thought flies out from my breast, my spirit moves with the sea flood, roams widely over the whale's home to the corners of the earth and comes back to me. So here the whale's home is a kenning for, it's a metaphor for an Anglo-Saxon metaphor, a kenning for sea. So whale's home means sea. To the corners of the earth and comes back to me, greedy and hungry. The lone flyer cries out, incites my heart irresistibly to the whale's path over the open sea, because hotter to me are the joys of the Lord than this dead life, loaned on earth. I will never believe that earthly goods will endure forever. Always, for everyone, one of the three things hangs in the balance before its due time. Illness or age or attack by the sword wrests life away from one doomed to die. So here we start to understand that in the previous slide we asked ourselves a question. So if he hates the sea so much, then why does he decide to go and set on a new journey? So well now in these lines we understand that this journey that he plans to set out is a spiritual journey. Okay, so he feels that he is towards the end of his life. He is about to die. He is probably old and weak. Therefore, and he knows that illness or age or violence is going to kill anybody. So this is kind of his last journey that he wants to go that he wants to start. This journey is not for war, or this journey is not for money or trade or food, but this journey is for himself, for his spiritual well-being. The days are lost, and all the pomp of this earthly kingdom. There are now neither kings, nor emperors, nor gold givers as there once were, when they did the greatest glorious deeds and lived in most lordly fame. All this noble host is fallen, their happiness lost, the weaker ones remain and rule the world, laboring and toiling. So here he remembers the good old times where where strong people ruled the world. But now he is old and he looks around and he sees that the weaker ones remain and rule the world. So that is why he is also not happy. All right. So he looks around and sees that this world is going in a bad direction, and he decides that's why he decides to set on a new journey, and this journey is a spiritual journey. Let us consider where we should have our home, and then think how we might come there, and let us also strive to reach that place of eternal peace, unending blessedness, where life is found in the love of the Lord, hope in heaven. Thanks be to the Holy One that he has so honored us, ruler of glory, eternal Lord, throughout all time. Amen. So just like the Wanderer, this poem, this elegy, the Seafarer, also ends with a religious tone, okay? So a philosophical tone, let's say. Let us consider where we should have our home. And okay, our home should be with God. That's what he is saying. And thanks, and he at the end he thanks the God, he thanks the Holy One, he thanks God that he has had an honorable life, and he starts with Amen, as if this was a prayer. All right, the wife's lament. I make this song of my, so the speaker is obviously the wife, the woman here, okay? I make this song of myself, deeply sorrowing, my own life's journey. I am able to tell all the hardships I've suffered since I grew up, but new or old, never worse than now. Ever I suffer the torment of my exile. So this woman is also on exile as well, as she tells us. First my Lord left his people over the tumbling waves. I worried at dawn where on earth my leader of men might be. When I set out myself in my sorrow, a friendless exile, to find his retainers, that men's kinsmen began to think, in secret, that they would separate us. So we would live far apart in the world, most miserably, and longing seized me. So this poem is quite puzzling. This is this is probably because the translation, I mean, this is of course a translation into modern English from Old English. There are several different and several conflicting versions of translation for this poem. And as you can see here, so she says, first my Lord left his people over the tumbling waves. So there are two possibilities here. This Lord who left his people might be her king, the person who ruled this society, where this community, where the wife lived, or it could be her husband. So, and but still, we know that this person who disappeared also had men, because she says, "My leader of men," and she says, she also says, "I set out myself in my sorrow to find his retainers." Retainers means soldiers. So this husband or king had his men, his soldiers. But some of these soldiers, or some of the people who got left behind, are actually plotting something against this wife and her husband. They want to separate us, she says. So she believes that these people, that those evil people, are planning to separate the wife and the husband. My Lord commanded me to live here. I had few loved ones or loyal friends in this country, which causes me grief. Then I found that my most fitting man was unfortunate, filled with grief, concealing his mind, plotting murder, with a smiling face. So often we swore that only death could ever divide us, nothing else. All that is changed now. It is now as if it had never been. Our friendship far and near, I must endure the hatred of my dearest one. Again, more conflict, more puzzling sentences here. So, my Lord commanded me to live here. Where? Where is it? Is it the same place or is it a different place? So then she sees that her husband or her lover, whatever, was concealing his mind. He was plotting murder with a smiling face. So who is this man plotting of murder? I mean, whom doesn't? So what? Who is this victim? Is it her? Who is the? I mean, is he planning to kill her or somebody else? So he is plotting murder with a smiling face. So is the husband going crazy and he is like uh, smiling every time to people, but in fact he became an evil person, or is he planning to murder the wife? But she says suddenly, all that is changed now. It is now as if it had never been. So now the problems are settled, the problems are solved. But then again, she says, far and near, I must endure the hatred of my dearest one. Now she says, a couple of lines later, she says that that her dearest one hates her. So there is a puzzling situation here. May the young man always be sad-minded, with hard-hearted thoughts, yet let him have a smiling face along with his heartache, a crowd of constant sorrows. Let to himself all his worldly joys belong. Let him be outlawed in a far distant land, so that my friend sits under stone cliffs chilled by storms, weary-minded, surrounded by water in a sad, dreary hole. My beloved will suffer the cares of a sorrowful mind. He will remember too often a happier home. Woe to the one who must wait with longing for a loved one. So again, this elegy also starts with a similar tone as the previous two. She gives some advice to those who are reading this elegy. All right, our final poem, The Ruin. So the ruin, as you might guess, are the ruins of a city. All right. So wondrous is this wall's foundation. Word has broken and shattered this city. The work of giants crumbles. The roofs are ruined. The towers toppled. Frost in the mortar has broken the gate, torn and worn and shorn by the storm, eaten through with age. So this speaker is standing among the ruins of an ancient city. So this city might be his homeland, maybe. Okay, and again, this poem has the same, has some similar aspects as of the previous poems, like the transitory nature of everything. I mean, everything crumbles, everything is ruined with time. Okay, so this city was not like that. This was a beautiful city, and the walls were standing, but now everything is in ruins. So in the next couple of lines, we find some irregularities in this poem. It fell, grimly ground up, cleverly created, a crust of mud surrounded, put together as swift. So these parts are, I mean, they are lost in the manuscript. Okay, so we don't have the whole of this poem. Bright were the buildings, with many bathhouses, high noble gables, and the great noise of armies, many a meat hall filled with men's joys, until mighty word made an end to all death. The slain fell on all sides. Plague days came, and death destroyed all the brave swordsmen. The seats of their idols became empty wasteland. The city crumbled, its rebuilders collapsed beside the shrines. So now these courts are empty, and the rituals of the he continues the description of the city, and he compares the present state, the present state of the city, which is in ruins, to the previous state of the city, where he imagines that the buildings were bright, there were many bathhouses, the roofs with noble roofs, with the noise and clatter of the armies, people having fun in the meat halls, until the fate puts an end to all these things. So the slain fell on all sides. So there was a war, maybe, or plague days came, or maybe there was sickness. Death destroyed all the brave swordsmen. The seats of their idols became empty wastelands. So the seats of their idols refers to the pagan idols of the Romans, maybe, because throughout this poem we see that he was referring to stone buildings, and just as I have mentioned before, stone buildings were made by the Romans, and Romans were pagans, they were not Christians. And this speaker is probably in the ruins of a Roman temple, maybe. The ruins toppled to the ground, broken into rubble, where once many a man, glad-minded, gold-bright, bedecked in splendor, proud, full of wine, shone in his war-gear, gazed on treasure, on silver, on sparkling gems, on wealth, on possessions, on the precious stone, on this bright capital of a broad kingdom. So here, as you can see, this poem laments the destruction of a big city. So you can see here that these four elegies are all about both similar and different things. So they are all lamenting. They are all the speakers are all sad about a certain things apart from death. So in Wanderer, we see that that the speaker has put himself on an exile because he no longer has a lord who is going to feed him or give him gold, and he is looking for a new lord. And the seafarer is unhappy with the things that he sees in the world. The world has gone bad, according to him, and he is old and he misses the old times. And even though he has had terrible times at sea in his youth, he still wants to go out on sea. But this time, this voyage, this travel is going to be a spiritual travel. And in the Wife's Lament, we see that a woman is having conflicted opinions, conflicted ideas, puzzling ideas about his intimate relationship. And in the ruin, we see that the speaker is lamenting on the destruction of a city. And probably he remembers that he thinks that the same is going to happen to his homeland as well. I mean, everything with time, everything is ruined. These are some famous examples of Anglo-Saxon elegies. So thanks for listening.